Talk About It with Angel Shanice.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Talk About It with me, Angel Shanice. Thank you so much for watching us today. It's always a pleasure and an honor to have you watching us. Here we share stories of people who have gone through things in their journey in life to get into where they are. And today, on today's episode, we have one beautiful lady who has gone through so much. She has a deep story. She's gone through the losses and good things. There's so much she has to say. And at this juncture, I would want her to introduce herself to us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. So my name is Yvonne, Yvonne Karanja. I'm a student, a finalist on USIU, and I'm also an entrepreneur. I own a restaurant in Kitengela, so you're welcome to have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Oh, amazing. We are also so happy to have you on the show, and you're looking so beautiful.
You too.
You're glowing. Thank you so much for being here. Glory of God? Oh, amazing. Yeah. So, Yvonne, first things first, you said you're a finalist at USIU.
Yeah.
What are you studying?
International relations is my major. Entrepreneurship is my minor. And I'm concentrating on peace and conflict. So, with the current state, I think we're going to have some jobs.
So, peace and conflict, that's quite interesting to be doing. So you said you're an entrepreneur doing business, restaurant business. How is that, first of all? I think it's quite a challenge for a young girl. How is that?
Well, it has been a journey. It's not smooth. Well, there are good days, of course, but it's been a roller coaster. The bad days, they're in betweens, you know. So it's been an interesting journey, actually, being an entrepreneur and being in the market for quite some time. It's like 3 years now. And I'm happy. I've never given up despite the challenges. We push forward and we hope for better days.
Oh wow. So it's been a balance of education, entrepreneurship.
Exactly.
You're a strong woman. Not too many people can do that.
Thank you.
Sure. Congratulations on that, first of all.
You.
So, Yvonne, there's one thing I know about you. You're basically, as you're saying, your education, your entrepreneurship. I know it's not been quite easy. You've gone through a lot, and one thing I want you to share with us, which is affecting so many people, first of all, is how's your journey in campus been? Being in USIU for one, which is one of the top universities here, but how's your journey been in campus?
Well, campus life is interesting. That's the word I could use. It's interesting. There are the good days, there are the bad days as well. And I've been a finalist for quite some time because I've taken some breaks in between.
What do you mean you've been a finalist for quite some time?
Well, now I have a highlight of what happened when I was in my second year. Well, I got raped. And I had to cut off, get semester breaks for quite some time, for a whole year. Because mentally, I wasn't stable to continue with my studies at that time. However, I went back and I pushed on because...
Wait a minute, you said you got raped.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What happened?
Well, as far as I can remember, as much as I can remember, I was just from an exam. It was on a Monday evening, back in 2017. And we boarded a taxi. That time, I didn't request for an Uber and it was drizzling.
So the regular taxis on the road?
Yeah, on the road. So from what I came to realize, or rather I came to learn later, that these people are just malicious, and I think it's something that they do. At that point, I felt like maybe because we boarded the taxi with a friend of mine.
So is this where you boarded this taxi from at USIU?
USIU,
okay.
Yeah, I was going home. By that time, I was living alone, so I was just going to TRM Road. I knew it was not going to be a long journey, so I just boarded one to cut off the long journey and then go home because it was drizzling anyway. And I remember boarding that taxi, but I don't remember getting out of that taxi.
What do you mean?
I don't know what happened along the way.
You got the taxi yourself?
Yeah.
Did you know this person?
No.
Or just a random taxi?
No, it was just a random taxi.
Okay.
And I woke up and I didn't have my phone. And waking up, I found this guy in my house. And I'm like,
wait a minute.
No.
Wait. You've boarded a taxi to go home with a friend.
Yeah.
Is it someone you knew? Like
Yeah,
very
we
close friend?
actually from an exam room together. And I remember she's the one who insisted because she lived in Rock at that time. I don't know after that if she moved or anything. I've never even seen her in school again. Funny thing.
So you boarded a taxi together, you were going home?
Yeah.
Was she coming home with you or?
No. She was going to get a matatu to Rock.
Okay.
At this time it's around like 9 p.m. And it's raining, it's dark. And I remember waking up and this guy was in my house and the door was actually wide open.
So where's your friend?
Now, I didn't have my phone.
Okay.
Cool. So this girl is the one who had it. I won't disclose the name at this point. But I had to like call my phone and just know where it is. But at that time it was off. So I had to look for her number and find out if she did have my phone, and true to which she did. Now, before even getting my phone at that time, I had to, the friend who gave me my other friend's number had my phone. She insisted that I had to go to get checked, and true to which.
So before you went to get checked, you said you woke up and found someone in your house.
Yeah.
Someone you didn't know.
I actually cannot even point him and tell him he's the guy.
Up until now.
Yeah. And so I had to call my friend, get to know if she has my phone. But before everything else, after everything that happened that morning, my neighbor, who was also a classmate, insisted that I had to go to the residence and get checked, true to which they found traces that there was,
That happened.
Yeah.
When you woke up and found this person in the house, how did he react?
This guy is just malicious. I don't know if they just do this for fun or anything, but it was like, if you don't remember, then why don't you do it again? I'm like, what? And well, of course, I chased him away at that point.
Did he become violent?
No.
He was just calm about it.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I won't even follow up with you. Let me follow up with myself first. It's a health caution.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm just answerable to myself at that point. So I went to my friend and she insisted she takes me to Nairobi Hospital. Nairobi Women's Surgery. Yeah. And that's when I went and got checked and got the dowers that I needed. And definitely went back for counseling like after every 3 months and testing also.
So before we get to that, you said your friend, the one who had your phone at this point, did you call her? Did you question her? Like, where did you go? We boarded this taxi together. What happened?
She was like, she went her own way after she was dropped to take her matatu.
So she was dropped at a bus stop by this guy?
Yeah.
And she left you with this guy?
Yeah.
Does she know? Were you still conscious when she was leaving?
I don't think so, because I wouldn't have forgotten my phone. Yeah. So I think everything happened in between. And I had a whole week for exams, the whole week, that week. And I couldn't do my exams anyway because mentally it wasn't.
Yeah, you were traumatized. So you called your friend, she has your phone, and she doesn't know what happened. She just said she left you with a random taxi guy. She went home.
Yeah.
So did you see her after that?
No, guess what? Up to now, I've never talked to her. Like, I tried calling her back then, the same year, around the same time. But I've never seen her in school.
So what about your phone? Did she?
Yeah, okay, after Nairobi Women's, after going to hospital, I called her again. And because at this time I was with my friend at Nairobi Hospital, my neighbor now. So I called her and organized to get my phone back. And yeah, that I think that was the last time we actually talked.
Did you ever tell her what happened?
I asked her about it because if anything, she would be knowing more than I knew at that time. Yeah. And basically, we shared like the same story because she couldn't tell. Yeah.
And this was one of your closest friends?
Well, she was a classmate at that time. Not that close, I wouldn't say she was that close, but mostly we shared the same like time.
Basically, it's someone you could relate to and you're familiar with them.
Exactly, exactly. So moving forward, I went for counseling, I went for testing after everything.
So you went to Nairobi Women, confirmed that this happened, but she was still okay. And you went back for counseling.
So they obviously advised me to go for the 3 months test.
Yes.
After every 3 months, and counseling definitely. And it worked for me. But before I opened up, I was literally traumatized.
So at this point, when this happened, did you seek to find someone to find comfort in? How did you view? I can imagine at that point when you've been with someone you don't even know.
Yeah.
For one, how did you view that, the male gender at that point? How was that?
I won't lie. I will not lie because was so unprovoked. It was so unprovoked. You going there innocently, knowing very well you're in safe hands, or so I thought.
Yes.
Only to wake up the next morning and you cannot even recall whatever it is. And now, let me tell you what happened after that. And the reason as to why I wouldn't even like open up to most people until now that at least I've healed. Everybody was asking me, like, even in hospital, were you drunk?
What?
And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm just from an exam room, and that's the first question you ask.
Yes.
Yeah. You're like, were you sipping or anything? And clearly I was not, because honestly, it was my exam week.
Why do you think they were asking that?
I don't know.
Is it that a notion that they don't believe that probably someone took advantage of you?
I felt like it. And considering that being the first question, or the first like feedback, or rather critique that you get from people, let me tell you, it's accounted to alcoholism. Well, I was drinking daily. I'm like, haya, yani I will be raped bila kulewa. Na hii ndio swali ya kwanza mnaniuliza. I was drinking proper, a good one.
So now you found comfort in drinking at this point.
Yeah. And I was just from a relationship at that point, the puppy love and all that. So basically, I wouldn't like go back to get a shoulder to cry on. I wouldn't tell my mom at that point because
you didn't even open up to your own family.
No, not that time.
You kept it to yourself.
Yeah, I wouldn't even go home. I wouldn't even go home. I went home like after like a whole semester of not going to school.
While they know you were still in school.
Yeah. And I remember one day, my mom came to my place and she just broke down.
Why?
I couldn't tell at that time. So she came to tell me later that anyway, I was depressed. And that's when I opened up to her. I told her everything that happened. It wasn't easy because, honestly, I have been keeping this to myself for quite some time, and for once I'm coming to open up to someone who will be my first confidant to tell, you know. And I remember she broke down, she started praying. I'm like, what's not happening? I'm good. As far as I'm concerned, I'm good.
So at this point for you, you felt you're just okay.
Yeah.
Like it happened, let's just move on with life. Mimi niko sawa.
So when alikuja, she asked me what I'm going through. And at that time, I was like, it was like, I think after like, 3 months or so, after everything happened. And she asked me what I'm going through, and I'm like, I'm okay, I'm good. What do you know that I don't?
And I'm only imagining the worst part is that you're not even healing from being taken advantage of by someone you know, a random taxi guy.
Imagine.
By which we are all using taxis every other day.
Exactly.
It's really a phobia to probably take taxis after that. How was that?
Yeah, definitely. And let me tell you, I'm happy my parents actually supported me in like giving me the house, paying all the rent and all that. Because that was my safe space.
Okay.
That was like basically in my four corners, that's the only place I knew at that time. Couldn't go out, couldn't interact with anyone, couldn't even want to see any guys.
You just wanted to be in your
I just
own
wanted
world.
to be by myself. Like, even that time my mom came, it was an ambush. I'm like, hold up, wapi? I told me, think wapi. You know, I wanted to be just alone, like, but I came to learn it's a step. It's a stage in depression. In depression itself, you know. And I remember when I opened up, my mom insisted that I go back home for a bit, at least for a 7. And that's what I did. I went back home, went back to counseling, like, more and more. And to be honest, it's really helped. It really helped, and yeah. Okay.
So what about school? Did you go back?
Yeah, after some time. And in my healing process, that's when I actually went bold and told the Vice Chancellor at that time, not the DVC, actually, the deputy. I told him whatever happened. And funny thing is, I never told my dad. Dad, do not watch. I would come and tell you. I had never told my dad. So even opening up to a guy was quite difficult for me, and mostly a professor. It was quite difficult for me. But I knew, because, okay, going to open up to him actually was because I couldn't do the exams that I had left undone. And I knew my semester would go haywire. Yeah, I had to like repeat the courses if I needed to. And I told him about it, and he was like, you know what, clearly Yvonne, you've healed, okay, or rather you're in the process of healing. And whenever you see this on your transcript, you're going to remember the scar that it left. I'm like, just have mercy. He's like, yeah, this is what you're going to be using. This is the evidence that you have.
So is that a point of making you pay for a mistake you didn't even bring upon yourself?
For me, I felt like I knew I wanted to voice this, the experiences that I'm having, or rather, everything that I went through. I knew I wanted to voice it because so many people out here are actually suffering silently because they don't want to be judged. They don't want to be misunderstood. Yeah, you know. But these things are actually happening. So even having that as a scar that I'm going to be seeing for life, I knew that like it's a bridge for me to go from where I am to voicing it and having like that evidence even to myself and to the people who I'm accountable to. And when I took it positively, to be honest, because if it happened that time, 2017, that time, trust you me, I don't think I would have continued in school. But having to like face it now with everything going on and all the marks that have been left, all the footsteps that have been left, I feel like I should take it positively, and moving forward, I should help the voiceless. And basically. So
you mentioned something here, but you never even told your dad about it.
Even today.
Even until date, having gone through it, taking the journey and the bold step to do counseling and all that, going back to school, why? Is it that you viewed him just as another man who would not understand, or you felt like, but why?
To be honest, I don't even have like a legit answer to that. But I feel like it's not like I'm not gonna tell him. Definitely I will. But I want it to come from a point of, yes, I went through this, and right now I'm talking about it because I'm already healed 100%. I was afraid maybe how we'll have like perceived the same, or like maybe taken
judged,
you know. And considering I was living alone, I needed that freedom at that time, to be honest. But moving forward, I feel like it's something that one way or another he has to know. He has to know.
So did it affect you? Of course it has affected you in many ways, but did it affect you in terms of how you relate to people? You said you got into alcoholism.
Yeah.
How exactly did you manage to keep a balance between that and get yourself out of that space at that time and go back to school and do something with yourself? You said you have a business. How did you get yourself out of that space at that point?
Well, I think going back home, because I was living alone at the time. Going back home, I felt safe.
Okay.
I felt
Protected.
Exactly. And also not having to see that kind of environment daily, it also helps me, you know, because the change of environment, at least I think, from counseling and all that, I know that it helps in the healing process. So I think going back home helps me a lot. It just did. And also rejuvenating and going back to school with a mindset that anyway, this is the second chance that you're having. Not really a second chance per se, because it was so uncalled for.
Yeah.
But it's a step that maybe for elevation, you know, one way or another. So I feel like it's really helped going back home. And
it helped with your
break,
journey.
exactly, and also counseling. It's really helped, a big one.
So you went back to school, and you said this girl that you were with when you put at this taxi was your classmate. Did you ever get to relate with her after that?
No.
How?
Even today, even the DVC was asking me if I've ever talked to her.
Didn't she go back to school?
I don't think so.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I really can't tell because I've never seen her at all.
So do you think she had anything to do with it?
I don't know. Actually, my doctor asked me the same thing. But I couldn't see her as that malicious.
Okay.
But she really never knew.
You can never really tell what somebody really is.
Exactly.
Because I'm expecting she ought to have been there for you. After going through that and the fact that she knew what happened with this random person,
Exactly.
she ought to have come back and be with you in that space and help you with the healing.
You know.
But that tells us a lot. I mean, we should be really careful who we call our friends.
Exactly. That's the point. Because even my doctor was like, "And are you sure this lady you were with from class was not after
she didn't have anything to do with it."
But who knows? I didn't judge until I was asked about it. But all in all, I don't know. Because you see now we never communicated after I got my phone back. I tried calling her around the same time, but no communication. Yeah. And I've never seen her again.
Wow. I mean, that gives people a thought. I mean, you should really be careful who you call your friends and who you relate with. So Yvonne, you're one beautiful, smart, intelligent girl. You went through that and it definitely pinned you down. But moving on was a must.
True.
You had to take yourself out of that space.
True.
I mean, as much as you looked at this gender as, now you had to give somebody else a chance. So after that, did you ever feel, you said you were from another relationship, did you ever feel like you could give somebody the chance to be in space again?
Yes. And true to which I actually found someone very nice. Very amazing. Such an amazing soul. And we even moved in together.
Oh, so you found someone, you got into a relationship, happy and all that, still in campus.
And he was from another school, University of Nairobi, and I coming to SIU. That's where we actually moved in together.
Oh, he moved to USIU?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it was such a lovely time. Going for hikes, everything fun, it was amazing.
So did you feel like getting to that relationship at that point also really helped with your healing process?
Yes. Because honestly, he was so supportive. I shared the whole thing, everything that happened with him, and he understood.
He understood you,
He actually understood, and it was amazing. It was such an amazing time. It was not long lasting.
What do you mean it was not long lasting? I mean, you just said you found someone, you moved in together.
Imagine.
What are you saying when you say it was not?
Now, what happened? It was all vibes and inshallah, I tell you. And then Okay, this guy was going through depression. I won't disclose his name. He was going through depression as well, but it was like something after having ADHD since he was a kid. And I think now it's affected him later, of which mental health is what I came to learn after dating him. Mental health in here
is when you became more aware.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't like explain what mental health is. And but
so you're going through your own journey and you found somebody else, and as much as you understood each other, he also had his own battles that he was fighting. Okay, so
and he was on medication actually.
Did that ever affect your relationship at that time?
At that time, no. At that time, no. He was so loving. He was so amazing. Like, he was so patient and all that. But it happened. Every relationship has its ups and downs. And it so happened that this day we had an argument and I had to leave the house. It was this time Corona lockdown. It was like 10 to 4, something like that.
The curfew?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had an argument and I had to go back home. I went back home at to 5-ish after curfew.
5 in the morning?
Yeah, after an altercation that happened at that time. And I had to text him because he was getting hostile. And considering he was not taking his meds.
Are you saying he got violent with you?
Yes.
At 5 in the morning?
Yeah, at 3:30.
What? So he got violent with you at about 3:30 in the morning? And I had to leave. What, first of all? I mean, you said you guys were so loving and okay.
Minor. So I think it was just like a trigger. Because first of all, he was not taking his meds.
Okay.
So if anything, if there's anyone watching, medication for the antidepressants medications are very vital. They're very important, by the way, because I would notice changes in his behavior, like his sleeping patterns and all like this.
Especially when he's off medication.
Exactly.
Okay.
And short temper and all that. And then he was such a jovial person, so you will notice like the small things that change. So this guy at 3 a.m. he left the lights on. So it brought some arguments. You don't even know how the bills have been paid in this house.
What?
You're just like, misusing, I don't know, she can screwdriver, can I make it in my house?
At 3 in the morning? Because of leaving the lights on?
So I was like, you know what, this is a trigger. And the fact that at least I'm learning how to cope with all this.
Yes, you had learned how to deal with it.
One by one. So I had to make sure that I'm not in that environment in case anything happens.
Yes.
And so I had to scream for help. And guards came. And since the curfew was at 4 to be open, I had to go and stay at the guards' room, that house, for some time until 5-ish. And at least got an Uber. I went home. But before then, I texted the parents, the mom, and I told her everything that happened. And the sister called me sometime back, later. Like,
so you guys were very close to a point your families knew each other?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember the sister called me and she texted me. She said, I wouldn't want to marry you in the name of you going back for love.
What?
Yeah. If he's acting hostile, please run. So I knew for a fact this is something that I have to be cautious about. So moving forward, that was on a Monday, Kwamkia Tuesday. So the whole week I haven't talked to him, but my friends, rather our mutual friends, are looking for him through me.
Oh,
you get, because he's not picking his calls. He's not communicating online. Nothing.
So this is after your fight. He went silent on everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I remember on Friday On Friday, I was with my friend in town, and I was like, it was because of Friday the 13th. I cannot forget that day. And I was like, you know, just the way you can say hypothetically, today seems like a dark day. Really about
What you mean?
it was.
Had they literally that you were feeling bad?
Okay, you know all these things that go around about Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, first of all, it's August, alright? It's Friday and it's the 13th. And I'm like, no, this is such a dark day. And I was just saying hypothetically, to be honest. So the next day on Saturday, my friend calls me. Actually, my friends, our mutual friends, most of them. I think they had plans with him at that time. I don't know, but he was not picking his calls. On Sunday, he went silent. He went off actually.
Were you trying to call him yourself?
That's when I tried on Sunday, and it was off. So on Monday, I woke up with such an anxiety. So I was so anxious. I was like uneasy, kabisa. So I called the sister. I'm like, yo, since I cannot go to his house, make time and go check if he's okay. Because most of his friends are saying that he's not picking his calls. And I mean, go off. So the sister was like, you know what, I'll make time and go. The way I'm feeling, make it soon. And when was this? No, that Monday, the sister sent his neighbor, who is her friend, her best friend. And they found the door was locked, but not with a padlock, latch. So they had to break in.
Living together.
Exactly. They had to break in using the caretaker's help. And breaking in, guess what they found? A whole corpse.
What?
Yeah, he was dead. He died in his room. He overdosed the medication he was not taking initially. And that's how he died. And how we learned about it is after autopsy.
Wait a minute. So he's no longer picking calls. People decided to come in for him. And you find him in his house having committed suicide.
That was like, okay, because I didn't go and see. I had an urge to go see that. But
so who broke the news to you first?
The sister. She called me. I remember this day. I was like, I was just chilling in the house. It was just a chill morning, Monday, sorry. And that evening, the sister called me and she was like, we managed to break in. I'm like, break in? Why? Because he had locked himself inside. So I'm like, okay, fine. After breaking in, it's sad to say, but he's no longer with us. And I was like, I'm happy. I'll go.
It just wasn't making sense.
It was not making sense.
You with this person 1 week ago.
Exactly a week ago.
A very petty argument to say.
Yeah.
That didn't end quite well.
Yeah.
Then the next thing you're hearing is dead.
Imagine. And in my mind, I was like, hold up, so why did I just drop the phone? Because I couldn't even comprehend. I couldn't even understand
whatever they're saying.
Yeah. So he was found dead. Went for autopsy, blah blah blah. Found the pills, like 30 pills.
What?
He overdosed. And that's how he died. Let me tell you, that day,
the man you had decided
to
settle down with
is
no longer here now.
Yeah.
Suicide.
So
how did you face that?
Well, I don't know. Somehow I felt like maybe he had made that choice. Maybe he was like, that's the end of his suffering.
Yeah.
But he broke so many people's hearts. Because I remember when the first meeting we had for the burial organization, the mom couldn't even talk. Like literally. And I was like, what? Well, how I took it, I really don't know. And until now, actually decided, it's the decision that I made to like hold on to the good memories that you made, because we actually did make like a good one. Yeah. But at that point, I was broken. I was literally broken. And I couldn't face it. It seemed like a dream to me. But I thank God for the support that I got from my parents.
So once again, we are back
to square
your
one.
parents supporting you.
Yeah. And I remember I had to go through therapy, counseling, over and over and over. And the first days, it was tough. I remember I was paying for sessions to just go and cry. Like literally, I couldn't even like compose a whole sentence without crying.
Because I can only imagine we lose people who are so distant to us, and it affects us so badly. So here it is. This is your partner, the man you've decided to do your life with, and he's no more, and he's killed himself. So
it was tough. It was tough.
So sorry about that.
And you know, not many people understand grief, but it was hectic, to be honest.
So Yvonne, at this point, you've gone through deep things with losing someone to suicide, and in between you had a lot else going on. Do you think, or do you feel therapy helped you to keep you still sane?
Yes. Yes. It helped me actually to be on my toes, like for sure. It's a journey, and it was a journey, and it has been actually, because it's still ongoing. And it's not easy. It doesn't go over like in the night or something. But it's a journey that's worth taking. Because to be honest, if it wasn't for therapy, I feel like I would still be broken as I was that time. And as much as probably I haven't healed as like 100%, it's a whole journey that I need to be patient with myself. And also voice it, because honestly, voicing it helps me to like embrace.
So sharing your story has helped you embrace it.
Exactly.
Accept that it has happened, and you need to get yourself out of that space.
Exactly. Yeah. It hasn't been easy, though. I thank God for my counselor. Shout out. And she's been so patient with me. She's been so patient, but all in all, it has been a progressive journey.
Yes. Talking about patience, you know, the one thing that really continues to put people down is because it's hard to find someone who will be patient with you, someone who will understand you and give you a safe space where you can let it all out and share your story, and without any judgment.
Exactly. It calls for like patience, even with yourself. With myself, it was not easy, because I would wake up one day and I'm like, I don't even feel like talking about it, you know. And the next day I'm going through photos in my gallery and text, and I'm like, do you really listen? You know, it's not easy, but on the other hand, it's very possible to heal. Very, very possible. To be honest, if I stuck in the same like space, I don't think I'll be progressive anyway. Yeah, to be honest. So I feel like embracing the whole situation that it happened, accepting that it happened, and having a good support system, and looking for people to even voice it to and listen and get all the advice and comforting ones. It has been amazing, to be honest. And thank God for everyone who has been in that journey with me.
So what about your social circle? At this point, were they supportive of everything that was going on?
Very, very, very. I remember even his funeral. It was one of the saddest days, but I really appreciated even the people who are around me, the circle that I have around me, and the support that they give. It's went a long way.
Because you go through such things, having a circle and having people who are there with you, it really counts. Because if you do that journey alone, and as much as you have your parents there are things, if you don't have a social circle in terms of friends who you can sit down and talk to, it only takes you lower and lower.
Yeah.
But in this case, I'm glad you had people around you who helped you through it.
Amazing people.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget that day because honestly, it was like, in as much as yes, it's a funeral, it was a day celebrated, like, that was well good.
So Yvonne, all that has happened, he's gone. How has life been after that?
At that time I was broken. I was shattered, literally. I couldn't go on even with my, thank God for even my staff in the restaurant, at work. Because anyway, they understood everything that I was going through, and to be honest, they pushed the business even harder, even with me not being around at that time. But all in all, it made me realize that life is precious. Despite all the ups and downs, maybe if I didn't have like the support that I had, I would have given up on so many things. My education, my business, my life. I mean, but it's been a journey that I've learned to even appreciate the people around, the support that I receive, and even not giving up on myself.
Did you ever question yourself about his death?
Yeah, because I'm telling you, I learned about depression and everything about mental health with him. And I remember some of my friends were asking me if I'd be able to cope with someone who's under like medication and mental health issues. I was like, yeah, I mean, sikuna mapenzi. Yeah, you know,
we can do this.
Yeah. But I didn't know the intensity of the matter until it happened. And somehow, after that, I learned a few things. One, ask even the silly questions. The questions that you feel are not as deep or something. Like, how you doing? Check up on people. Like, ask them what they don't like about everything around. You know, like, get to know everything. That's
relate with them.
Exactly, relate with them. Generally, like, in all-rounded, that's one thing I came to learn. Because I feel like if I was keen and asked questions at that time, because anyway, some of these things, you know, people who are going through depression and maybe the other mental state, mental health issues, they are very conservative. They are reserved. They are laid back. They don't talk much.
They'd rather keep it to themselves. Put it all out there.
Exactly. Because some of the times is they feel like you're gaslighting them because already they know what they are going through, and you like ambushing them with some of these questions. It feels like I don't have any answer to that.
Yes.
But just be kind. I don't know. Just be kind. Be open. Be as I don't know how to put it, but
wow, that's deep. I can only imagine, as young as you are, having to go through such a loss. It's devastating. But I'm glad to see that you're taking and you took the initiative to get out of that space and move forth. And how are you viewing life right now, especially in terms of relationships? Have you embraced probably being with someone after that?
Well, after that, I feel like I need to heal completely. I don't have to like pour out like I'm not bitter, but sadness. The sadness that might come with any kind of trigger.
You feel like you'll carry it forward.
So I'm working on myself first before involving or indulging myself with any other person at the moment. But I'm open to.
Okay, well, good to know that. So anyway, basically, what I'd really love to say is, it's not many people who can go through that journey and get themselves out of it. Some people, it would really drain them and put them down there, and they would not be able to face life. But you stepped out of it, you faced life, and you continue to face life in more ways. And I wish you all the best, even as you continue to heal, and even the bit that you've healed, and everything that you continue to do. And being an entrepreneur at such an age is it's a beautiful thing, and congratulations on that. Yeah. So, parting short, Yvonne, what do you feel is, especially in the times that we're living in, what do you feel is really, because depression has become like a norm. It's become something that everybody is depressed, left, right, and center. Yeah. What do you feel should be done to help the society be? Because we are living in a very sad society, to be honest.
Sure.
What do you feel should be done about that?
Well, you know, funny thing, depression, you never know you're depressed until like maybe you're told or tested.
Yes.
But if there's anyone out there, young, old, whatever, you're going through anything, like anything that's troubling your mind, seek help. Because honestly, at that time, I remember back then in 2017 when I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody, I just want to be in my space. I don't want to like hear any kind of advice or anything good, nothing. And that's a stage in depression itself. So if I knew better, I would have sought help like immediately, you know. But what I can tell anyone who's going through anything that's troubling your mind, please seek help. Because to be honest, you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone. And getting out of that space and even voicing it and being a hope, like some sort of hope to the hopeless.
Yes.
It's a healing process. It's a healing journey, and it's possible. It's very, very much possible. Trust me.
And anybody can get out of that space. It's not a death sentence.
Exactly.
You can move yourself out of that space and become someone better. And build yourself like she is. I mean, look at her. You know, when you're giving this story, I'm just like, you're just glowing, and like the glory of God just looks like you're covered with grace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I thank God for that. And also prayer. Prayer. I know
they say our parents' prayers keep us.
Definitely. And also sometimes you feel like you don't even have that energy or positivity to like go to God and just tell him, this far you brought me, it's by you. But it is.
It's important.
This far.
Yeah.
And not giving up on ourselves also is key.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So never give up on yourself. Never give up no matter what you're going through. There's always light at the end of the tunnel.
For sure.
Definitely.
For sure. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So if you're watching us and you're probably in that space and you're feeling like, there's nothing left of me. I've gone through so much. The worst. I mean, you're saying it's not the worst. Whatever you're going through is not the worst. There's hope at the end of it. She said, pray about it, seek help, and be there for people who need you. If someone around you is going through this, if they're going through depression, if they're going through very deep moments, be there for them. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Talk About It. I mean, we've talked about this and I'm just feeling, I don't know how I'm feeling about it, but I hope you've been inspired to get out of the space that you're in. Stop slacking there. Stop seeing like you're nobody and stop seeing like you'll never get out of that space. There is hope at the end of it. Yvonne, thank you so much for coming. It's such an honor to even have you share your story with us, and thank you for opening up about it, because I know it's gonna change somebody somewhere who's probably gone through the same or something very similar. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So please tell our viewers something before we finish.
So I'm so glad I had to share the stage with Shanice. And to you who's viewing. We love you so much. Just know that. And also, thank you for watching.
Alright, there you have it. Thank you so much for watching us. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned to talk about it for our next episode coming up next week. Thank you.